Hi, Lisa Soames-Peck from Spellbound Miniatures here. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making this medieval chair. It's to go with the Book Nook that we've done that's also on a medieval theme, although you can of course decorate it however you like. This is made from craft board on the Cricut Maker. This one was made from brown craft board and I've stained it and given it a coat of matte varnish. I'm going to be building the tutorial one in white craft board. I thought I did the Witch's Cabin last year, so I thought I'd make a white version of this. It might look quite good and a sort of shabby chic for a white witch. So that's what we're going to make here. If you are going to stain craft board, I used a wood stain. You might want to stain the layers before you glue them. Stain doesn't take to glue, so if you're not too accurate with your gluing and some squeezes out and dries, you won't be able to stain that, but you could always paint it brown and then it will kind of hide in with the rest of the stain. So you can see this has actually been made in the traditional way that they did in the time, using pegs to hold the pieces together. So these are the shapes that you'll have cut from the SVG in craft board. There are 5 layers for the back, and you can see the middle layer has more of a flower shape, and then the outsides have the circle. I don't know if you can see that on there. There's just a slight difference. It's up to you how many layers you do, but the slots in the pieces, these bits here, are designed for 3 layers. So if you wanted to have more of the middle, you could. You would just need to not use the external piece with the slots. You need to use the the tabs, the non-tabbed pieces. And so I've done 5 for the back. These are the side pieces and they're 5 layers each, so I've got 10 of those there. This is the sort of front detail and that's 3 layers thick. It just sort of makes it look a bit more realistic. Not every piece of furniture is made with the same thickness of wood. And then the seat has 3 layers with tabs and then a top and bottom plain layer. And then there's some extra pieces which create the side of the arms and the tops of the arms there. So that's what it looks like when it's finished. This is 12 scale, but of course with SVG you can make it whatever scale you want. You just need to change the thickness of the material. So if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that on the mat, on the Cricut mat, when it's cut with the blade, it has a little raised edge, very tiny. So I like to glue all my pieces with that raised edge going in the same direction. So you could mark them all when they're on the mat with a piece of pencil, just so that you know which side is up. If you've got a good eyesight, you would be able to see in person the little raised edge, and you can feel it. So that's just one of my preferences. You can get away with it the other way up, but I think when you're trying to get really neat layers, that's definitely one of the tricks. So I always glue in pairs and let them dry in pairs and weighted down with a weight. To do all 5 layers together, it's not you can line them up, but it's not the best way to do it. Sometimes the layers move slightly, so it doesn't become that accurate. So it's up to you. I like to get everything spot on and lined up, so I'll glue this onto there, that onto there first, and I will do these side pieces in pairs. That there's 5 in each side, so you'll need 4 pairs and then 1 extra. And I'll start gluing up the seat bases as well. So start with your pairs and then we'll come back when they're all dry. Okay, these the arm pieces are 4 pairs of 2, so you've got 1 either side, that's why we need 4, and then 3 layers for the top part. So the side bits are 4 pairs and then 3 layers for the top. And I've got a granite slab over here which you'll have seen on previous videos. I also use the stainless steel bench block to press them down. Obviously if you've got 3 layers that would be more than 2, so always keep the same amount of layers, otherwise you'll end up with a wonky weight. So I'll do the 3 layers under that. The other slab has got the 2 layered pieces being glued up, so I'll put those over there. And I forgot to say earlier, I use Alien's tacky glue, but you can use whatever glue you prefer for your material that you're using. So we'll glue those up and then we can start gluing the other layers together. Okay, so this is the 2-layered piece of the chair front. I'm now going to glue the 3rd layer onto that, and then that can go and get pressed with the other 3 layers of the arm top as well. Okay, I've now got the 2 back piece layers and the middle piece, that's the 5 in all, and the only thing to make sure of when we're gluing the tabs is that there's not very much glue on there, because we don't want excess glue to go into the hole which the peg is going to go through. If it did, you can drill it out, but it's just easier not to get that in the first place, so a toothpick can be quite handy for that. And so what we're going to do is, this is the front of the back piece that goes on one side, and then we would flip that over and that longer sort of arch shaped back piece goes on the back. And obviously we don't want to glue all of this because we don't want any glue where these holes are, so it's easier to glue the piece with the cutouts. So now we want to glue our existing pairs together. So that's 4 layers there in each one now, 2 lots of 2 pairs. And then if you remember, we've got the 5th layer as well, so we can glue that on now. And again, try not to get any glue in the slots. And then we've got the seat layers. This is 1 tab layer with a plain one on top. You might just be able to see there's a sort of a raised edge. So that's the tabs layer with the plain one on top of it, and we've got 2 tab layers glued together there, and then we've got the plain layer to go underneath. So that just makes the sort of leading edge of that seat a nice depth. So we want to make sure that the tabbed layer with the plain non-tab layer on top now effectively stays at the top of the seat, so that we would glue this one underneath it. Probably, you might not have noticed it, you might have done, the tabs aren't exactly the same distance from the back and the front. So make sure, well, it will soon become evident if you try and glue it on and the tabs aren't the right way around, but you just notice there's a bit of a bigger gap on this side than there is on that one, and they only fit sort of one way when you go to make the chair up anyway. So make sure we've got that the right way around there. And if you find that your tabs, because we're pressing now almost the outer layers, the weight won't get to the tabs, so you can get some smaller clamps or clothes pegs and just clamp those if you need to with some extra glue if you're not happy that all those layers have glued together. So we've now got 3 of the tab layers, the top plain layer, so we're going to stick the bottom plain layer on the bottom of them all now. Okay, so all of those layers have dried and I'm so excited to show you this is how easy this comes together. At this point we haven't glued the armrest bits on, but I'll just show you because it's just, I love how it works. So remember, the longer sort of arches are at the back, the shorter ones go to the front because that's where the seat starts. I think that's the ghost of a medieval monk there improving. So you can probably guess these side pegs here slot into there, and the seat will only go one way, in the sense of if you had it that way round it tries to push the seat back too far, so that goes in like that, and then we just put the other side on the same, just give a little wiggle, and it's up to you when you glue this piece on, that's up to you, and whether you glue it just onto the seat or onto the sides, and that's it. So simple. You might, the plainer you want it is up to you, or you can, like I said, add the seat bit on. We will, if you want to do the armrests, these little ones go either side, so there, and on the inside, so they go either side, and then that glues onto the top. And if you want to make the pegs, they're really simple. Get a cocktail stick. I use one of these, it's really handy. It's got a blade there, so keep your fingers out of the way, and you literally decide how long you want your peg, stick it out the end, and then point it down, otherwise it'll fly everywhere and you'll never find it. Like that one just did. They always take off, right? Oh, there it is. And if you want to, get a piece of sandpaper and you can sand down either of the edges if they're not clean, and then they simply, see if I can get this on camera, there's a hole, the peg goes in the hole like that. Is that focusing? Get it up closer if I can. Isn't that cute? So you just make 8 of those, 4 for each side, and that's your chair. So what I'm going to do is, because I do want the armrests on, it's up to you, you could glue these or you can just leave it that you can dismantle it. I'm going to glue the armrests on, so put the side bits on there. They go flush with that edge. See that? Yeah, there you can see that there. Flush with the top edge, one on each side, and then that one goes on the top there. So it will look like that there. So I'm going to glue those on, construct the chair, do a final coat of paint and decorating, and I'll come back and show you the finished version. So here's the chair with the armrests glued on, and in the background you can see a sheet of water slide transfers that I've printed. I've coated them in lacquer and I'm waiting for that to dry for 24 hours, then I'll be able to put them on the chair. So I thought I'd show you the finished chair now, and then if you're following me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see the finished chair with the decals applied in the next couple of days. If you'd like the PNG for the water slide transfers, you can see here, I'm going to be putting them in my Facebook group for Spellbound Miniatures. The link will be in the description below. And here's a sneak peek. Next up, we're going to be making the medieval desk and scribe slope to match the chair. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you soon.